the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. Always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live, all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we are going to jump straight into it. So as you guys and girls can see already, running across the bottom, the Disney, we're going to talk about Disney stock jumped 5% in the aftermarket. Not saying it's going to carry over to the new market. Due to the CEO going on CNBC today after the market, he went on and said, hey, we're shifting our primary focus to entertainment streaming. Now, in this episode, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the direct-to-consumer. We're going to talk about who it hurts and why are they expediting this? Why are they doing this? And we're going to take a look at the finances, because if you remember, if you tuned in prior, you remember me doing an episode about Disney laying off people, Disney cutting dividends, all of the stuff like that. And I said that, hey, it's a great idea to reorganize looking at their finances. So this right here is their CEO on CNBC today, right after the market, named Bob Chaplin, I think his name is. I'm not going to play the video because I don't want nobody to come flag it down and say I took their content or whatever the case may be. But what I am going to show you, what we are going to look at, we are going to look at their finances. So right here, I'm pulling up their finances here. And as you can see on the 10Q report, this is Walt Disney's latest report, 10Q, that came out around June timeframe, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to stroll down here and you can see where their money was coming from. Right about here. Boom. So you can see in June 27th, they reported they was making $6 billion off of media networks. But you can see right here, a lot of their money that they was making off of parks. Last year, majority of their money came from their media networks and their parks. Their parks are pretty much just disappeared almost. They don't know how long this is going to last. And then they had the direct-to-consumer that had in a whopping last year, it went up. So you can see last year the direct-to-consumer revenue was 3.8, now it's 3.9. And then now the CEO is coming out saying, hey, we're going to allocate more resources to direct-to-consumer international. As you can see right here, 3.8 million last year. Now they're making 3.9 million. It is the only thing in Disney that increased in value. Their media networks went down slightly. Keep in mind, Disney owns Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu Plus or whatever too. So you can see media networks went down just a little bit. Their parks just disappeared. Their studios got cut in half. The direct-to-consumer went up. So as you can see this, the only thing that Disney has gone up is the direct-to-consumer and international. So now they come out saying, hey, we're going to reorganize, make the direct-to-consumer its own platform and all of the great stuff like that. So now what does this mean for them? They're saying that direct-to-consumer got accelerated because of COVID-19. So this is why it's very important to read financial reports. As you can see here, you will see the only thing that increased for Disney over the last year, everything, all their revenue streams went down except for direct-to-consumer. They're talking about withholding their dividends, and they're also talking about laying off people. So laying off people, withholding dividends, that increases what we call retained earnings. So you make money. How much earnings are you retaining? By laying off people, that lowers your accrued expense. And then also by not paying out dividends, common sense, if you don't pay dividends to shareholders, that money stays as retained earnings. And as with that retained earnings, they're saying, hey, we're reorganizing and we're going to put all our money to direct to consumer. And as you can see down here, let me see if they break it out a little bit. All right, so they got direct-to-consumer international equity and income investments, including segment and operating costs. So this is a part that I really didn't know a whole lot about, but their direct-to-consumer place, they're saying, hey, the reason why they tuned into the direct-to-consumer, because guess what? They're following what the customers do. They're saying that because customers, they're not coming to the parks. We're not making money off of them. When our revenue is decreasing in parks, our revenue is decreasing in the media. Our revenue is increasing in direct to consumer. So they're reorganizing pushing their money to direct to consumer. As they push their money to the direct to consumer, this itself increases their chances on revenue growth. So now they're following what made them do this. They're saying, hey, the customers are pushing this. Sounds good. Sounds great. Disney had common sense to look at their financial reports and realize, like, hold up. The only place all of our money is decreasing, but it's increasing into direct to consumer. Let's focus on that even more. Great for the business. Stock shoots up 5%. Now you got to see, who does this hurt? Movie theaters. What about movie theaters? We already know movie theaters. Regal just announced they were closing down. Then AMC was having issues. But as Disney and as producers go direct to consumer, this kind of cuts out movie theaters, because now I know some people say, hey, I still love the movie theater feel. I still like drive-up movie theaters. But now Disney is realizing, hey, look, the people, when we look at our financial reports, we have to follow the pocketbooks. Everybody's pocketbook, everybody's wallet is going to direct consumer. They're not coming to my parks. Our media networks is making as much money, but our direct to consumer in the middle of a pandemic is increasing. Let's reorganize and let's create our own brand and our own division for direct to consumer. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I want to talk to you guys and girls about, how you can use the financial reports, how you can look at the financial reports. As you can see, all their revenue was down. The media networks, the parks were down. The studio was down. That was their big revenue streams. The only thing that went up was direct to consumer and international. I know I probably said that like a million times in this episode, but they saw this. Now Disney came out. They announced that they was looking to cut dividends. They was announcing they was laying people off. They was cutting dividends. When you lay people off and you cut dividends, that increase retained earnings. Ladies and gentlemen, Prince, what do you mean by retained earnings? You go up here to the balance sheet. I'm strolling up here. This is the consolidated balance sheet. Right here, when you go up on the liabilities, you're going to see a section. Where is it at? Retained earnings. You got your preferred stock. This is retained earnings, means after you made all that money, your top line is your total revenue. After you paid everybody off, paid all this or whatever, how much of the earnings are you retaining? That's very key to a lot of investors when they're reading financial reports. Is your retained earnings not about how much money you're making? It's all about how much money you're keeping. How much money is this person keeping? So this is going to increase by laying people off. I told people, I hate to say that. I said, oh, laying people off, that's bad for the economy, but good for investors, because by laying people off, that increase retained earnings. By cutting dividends or lowering dividends, that increase retained earnings. When those earnings increase like that, now you can say, hey, well, we're not going to put more money in our parks. We're not going to put this money into our media networks. We can put this money into what is making us money right now, which is Disney's direct to consumer. When the CEO announced that today on CNBC, after the market closed, the stock jumped up 5%, and you can see how it's goes back to the fundamentals. So I consider myself a fundamental value investor. Fundamental, and how much value are you getting? All right. So I hope y'all got something out of this episode. Thank everybody for tuning in. I wanted to say, Tony, what's going on out there in Cleveland? Miss Melanie, she says, good evening. I think Melanie is out in Miami. Duval, Lucky's mom, Duval County. Duval, okay. Duval in the building. That's Jacksonville. That's outside of Jacksonville. I think it's in Jacksonville. That is Jacksonville, Florida. Been down there a bunch, right? He said, yes, this will kill theaters if they, he said, yeah, this will kill theaters if they go straight to Disney. What's going on, Max B? You're right. So now they're saying, hey, instead of putting as we look, we're always talking about, as we look for investors, we always said that, if they cut out the middleman, that's bad for AMC workers. People will lose their jobs, but that's great for Disney investors. How you doing, Mrs. Destiny? She's out of Sacramento, California. She says, and Max B, I know you're out of Washington. She said, Destiny says, you said this would be good for investors. Thank you. Thank you, Destiny. I did an episode before this was already announced, and I said, hey, look, by them cutting jobs, by them holding dividends, the stock went down 4%. And I said, this is actually good news for investors. Because why did I say that? Looking at this financial report, knowing the balance sheets, I know that what you pay employees. Let's go over it one more time. When a company pay employees, that goes up on the liabilities. When a company pays what it pays to its employees, you got right here, accrued liabilities. You see this right here? Right up under liabilities, it said accrued payments. Accounts payable. That means debts they have to pay. And accrued liabilities. Accrued liabilities, that's what you have to pay in salaries. Within the next 12 months, this is what they have to pay in salaries. So when a company lays off people, that decreases what they have to pay out in salary. I'm not saying it's the best thing, ethical thing, but it is what it is. And also, when you're not paying dividends, now when you go down here to retained earnings, this increases your retained earnings, and this also increases your working capital. Working capital, you take current assets, total current assets. The total current assets is 41 billion, is what they reported. They reported total current assets of 41 billion. And their total current liabilities is 30 billion. So 30 billion minus 41 billion is 11 billion. That is their working capital. That's the money they have to work with, right? So if you go to this number here, look at total current liabilities. If they decrease the accrued liabilities, accrued expenses like salaries, that is now increasing their working capital, their retained earnings, that they are now pushing to the place that makes the money. Stock jumped up 5%. All right. Let me say hey to everybody in here before I get out of here. It's this Sabathian. Macon, Georgia in the house. I'm originally from Waynesboro, Georgia. Macon, Georgia's in the building. Brandon, I already know. Brandon Webb, you're from Canada. And I didn't forget about that stock you asked about. You asked me about a bunch of IPOs. And I think I kind of put it out. IPOs, I have to wait and see their finances. I have to wait until they IPO. After they IPO, I wait until the closeout period. The closeout period is a period that where the initial investors, they have the right to be able to sell. Right at the closeout period, you see a massive jump off. So for prime example, let's say somebody who's investing, who's a private investor into Airbnb. Let's say Airbnb goes public in December. They can't sell their stock to maybe 90 days after being on the market. So all of the initial investors, they have to hold their stock until the closeout period. When all the initial investors sell their stock at one time, this can cause a drastic fall off. This is why they have a closeout period, because back in the day, in the 20s and 30s, companies would do that all the time, and it would just cause massive dives in IPOs. So that's why I have to wait till the finances come out. Okay, Max B asked Prince what happened to energy today. Energy today brought in a great opportunity for investors. You've seen energy the last week or so. Energy had a great week, 2 weeks. Energy has been having a great year. All of a sudden, energy took a cool off. You saw nothing financially happen. I'm not worried at all. I went in and brought some more today. That's my thing on green energy. I'm not going to get into that one, Brandon Webb, today because this is a quick episode. I got to get out here. To show me what's going on, he says, love what you're doing. Keep pushing great content. I appreciate it. Luke Burke said, where do you find this report? SEC.gov, Sierra Echo Charlie.gov, Security and Exchange Commission.gov. This is the reporting. This is the SEC is over all publicly traded companies, all securities available to the public. The SEC controls. So Disney, they don't report to people. They don't report to shareholders. Their job is to report to the SEC. So the reason why I follow the SEC.gov, because if you lie to the SEC.gov, the CEO is liable. They can go to jail, right? So that's why I always go there and read the numbers from the SEC.gov. Kyle Burke said, great. I said, good job. Keep it up. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming back, too. That was very much appreciated. Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Yeah, I definitely had to come back. I'm going to upgrade my equipment here. I'm getting tired of my stuff freezing up sometimes. So we're going to get that. We're going to get that together. He said, have a great night. Be safe. Thanks for the information as always. Appreciate that, Brenda. Well, out there in Canada. All right. We got Miss Joyce. How you doing, Miss Joyce? She's out in Tampa. So we got Tampa in the building. Duval is in the building tonight. Macon, Georgia. Miami, Cleveland, Washington. I didn't see anybody from overseas tonight. But yes, Sporadic episode. I want to keep you guys and girls up. This is when you're following the stories. When you're following the stories of companies, people say, Prince, what's happening to energy? You say energy was great. It is. I haven't seen nothing happen financially to energy. Stocks don't continue. Any asset class doesn't continue to go up. Nothing has happened to the fundamentals. I stay put. I buy more. I consider it a dip. If a stock goes down or an asset goes down with no fundamental reason of why it went down, I consider that a dip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, I thank y'all for tuning in. And to the next video podcast, a cartoon, or whatever else y'all see me do around the globe. Peace, be safe. I'm out. Thank you.